Good evening. The big breaking news story we are tracking right now. Top government sources indicating to NDTV that the situation on the line of actual control is extremely tense. But the big story is that at this juncture, the situation in terms of the standoff can take any trajectory. And by that, what exactly do we mean? Well, these are some of the key points that sources have told us. If there is an escalation, it will mean that both sides will have a price to pay. That's the key issue over here. An Indo-China standoff, if it results in a conflict, that could take any trajectory. And if there is an escalation, this will mean a price to pay for both sides. Let's go to the next page and also share with you a couple of details that we now have. Over and above the situation in South Pangong, which we've been speaking about for the last few days, India now dominates the heights above Chinese deployment on Finger 4 on the north bank of the Pangong Lake. Let's go to the next page, because this is a significant new military operation which top sources have told us this has taken place in the last few days, and essentially all along Ladakh. It's a battle for heights. So the Chinese were occupying the heights at Finger 4. Indian soldiers a few hundred meters away from them now dominate a position in substantial numbers above the Chinese deployment at Finger 4, which has effectively become the line of actual control on the north bank of Pangong, because the Chinese won't let us proceed towards Finger 8, and Finger 4 to 8 are areas which we believe are ours. Let's go to the next point over here. Now, as we have been reporting over the last few days, Indian Jawans are deployed on ridge lines all across the region, certainly in the South Pangong region. These photographs that you see were of day before yesterday, when spear-armed Chinese soldiers tried to come up to the Indian positions on the line of actual control. And we have now learned that India's officers and Jawans on the ridges will retaliate if China crosses a certain red line. What exactly is that red line? India's positions have, for example, barbed wire around them. And if the Chinese try and cross over, then India will retaliate. Local commanders are actually monitoring minute by minute what the situation is on the line of actual control. The other key point over here that we can talk about is that it is now India's belief that Chinese moves in South Pangong and in so many other areas, and this medieval form of warfare that we have actually seen, is controlled by the top and not by exuberant commanders. In other words, there is a clear method in terms of what exactly is taking place. So that's another Indian takeaway from here. And I think the bigger story, and these are areas all along the line of actual control: Depsang, Galwan, Hot Springs, Gogra, Pangong North, Pangong South. India doesn't know why the Chinese are opening so many fronts. Why are the Chinese doing this? Because the Chinese have tensions with Taiwan. The Chinese have a conflict, or a dispute, I should say, in the South China Seas as well. Why exactly are they doing this? That's another key point. And I believe we should have another point over here as well. And that actually has to do with the air power scenario. Now, we've been talking extensively about the Indian Army, but let's not forget that in the context of a modern battle, if it is to take place, or even the standoff situation presently, it's the air forces of both sides which will have an absolutely critical point. It is our belief that the Chinese have deployed 150 plus aircraft and helicopters in the theatre, in their bases and on their side of the line of actual control. And finally, one other point over here that we can share, and it's a repeat basically of what we started with. If there is a conflict, given the extent to which the Indian Army is now deployed on a 1:1 basis as far as numbers and strength is concerned with the Chinese, then there will be a price to pay on both sides. Now, Major General Ashwani Sewach, the ex-Chief of Staff of 14 Corps in Leh. General Sewach, thank you very much for being with us. An extensive series of points that NDTV has been able to actually pick up. The bottom line over here, though it's difficult to say, the present standoff can take any trajectory. India is ready. Is that your belief as well, given the tensions on the ground?
Absolutely correct, Som. You see, the situation on 29th, 30th August has completely changed the complex of the game. what we have done is on 29th, 30th, the Kailash range has been totally dominated by us. Now we have taken over, starting from Thakung, Blacktop, Helmet Top, Bagar Hill, Gurung Hill, Rajangla, Richinla, and going up to Sapangur Pass. So this is totally now dominating the south of Pangangso, and this has changed the complex. Earlier we were on a back foot, we were on a receiving end. Our position has become very strong because the complete bowl, that is Trishul-Mordo bowl in south, is now under our control, and we can dictate terms. And this has changed the equation between India and China.
General Shivaj, just a point of clarification, because this is something which I inquired about earlier in the day, that position black top which keeps coming up. It has now been clarified that in fact that lies on the Chinese side of the line of actual control. India is not controlling black top physically, but obviously we are on ridge lines on our side of the line of actual control. But I just want to go across to another key point over here. We are now told that India is also dominating heights in the Finger Four area. It's a battle of heights all along. Finger Four is this artificial line of actual control which the Chinese have actually made. So let's see if we can have that image. That's right, Finger Four over there. A couple of images which we can share with our viewers. The point being that India has actually got heights above Chinese positions, but just a few hundred meters away in that broad Finger Four area. What does that indicate?
Absolutely correct. See, the point today is it's a question of heights. You know, in mountains, whosoever occupies the higher heights rule the roost. And therefore, we know it that the Chinese are very reluctant to leave Finger Four and going back to 5, 6, 7, 8. And they were holding the green top. Now, we have managed to occupy a height higher than that, and we will now hold it. I'm saying here that the Chinese are not going to rent so easily. They will try to reoccupy these heights in case whatever we have done in south of Pangangso, even the Kailash range. My take is the Chinese will make full attempt to retake them. Though that window of opportunity is gone, because we are very strong on the ground, we are holding them, and we have done everything what is possible to repel any assault or attack of the Chinese. But Chinese will make sure that whatever they have lost, they will try to regain. And it is not only in the eastern Ladakh, it will be maybe in central sector or in the eastern sector. So the next few days are going to be very crucial between India and China, because what we have done on 29th, 30th August, the rule of the game has been changed. We are now on a dominating height south of Pangangso, and especially the Kailash range, we are controlling Trishul and Mordo bowl. So this has rattled Chinese. Chinese are now feeling it that we have given them the taste of their own medicine, and they don't know what is the face saving. So therefore the situation is...
Okay, so one moment, we've got Lieutenant General B.S. Jaswal, the former Northern Army commander, with us as well. General Jaswal, the bottom line over here is that, and this is what our sources have told us, is that India is matching Chinese deployment, not just here, but all across Ladakh, 800 plus kilometers, 1:1. If they induct more, we will induct more. If they bring in more weaponry, we will bring in more weaponry. And therefore, the sense that we've been given is that we are fully prepared. So the scenario that we've seen in the last couple of months, that has changed now to one of military parity on the ground. Would you agree?
Firstly, thank you so much, Shom, for bringing me on your show. Secondly, what you have said is absolutely right. The situation is such that we gave a very calibrated response. We occupied these heights when we had sufficient number of troops out here so that we could act or react against any Chinese misadventure if in case we occupy certain heights. So today what has happened is the tables have turned in our favor, that we are in a position of strength. The domination, if you draw a spectrum of domination by the Chinese and you draw a domination spectrum of ours, well, we are sitting in a position of advantage. And military prudence says, once in a position of advantage, you do not let it go. You retain it. Now, what General Shivaj made a very relevant point. If it cannot turn the tables out here once again, the Chinese would try, they would do it in some other sector. I've been insisting also that I think we should expect some reaction by the Chinese in Arunachal, which is of primacy to them.
Okay.
So we should expect something there.
Okay,
Over
General,
here,
right. I just want to go back to General Sewaj. Sir, the other detail that we have, sort of been informed about or told from our sources, top government sources once again, is that the rules of engagement are robust for our soldiers who are deployed on the ridge lines in South Pangong and elsewhere. We are not operating with our soldiers effectively with their hands tied behind their back like what we saw in Galwan when they couldn't actually open fire. And I believe the red line would be if the Chinese with spears or guns or whatever, if they are to actually attempt to cross these defenses of every position by cutting through barbed wires or coming in physical proximity to our soldiers, then the Indian Army will retaliate. And it's not going to be spear versus spear. There would be, there'd be gunfire. I mean, that's what we've been led to believe. So is this the clearest, perhaps, example that the line has been drawn and nothing more after this?
Absolutely correct, Shom. As far as Indian Army concerned, the orders are given very clear and categorically. Do what you may, but do not let the Chinese come and occupy any defenses. The tactical commanders have given the complete freedom of action, and if there is a requirement of firing, they will do it. They will make sure the Chinese not able to occupy any height hereafter. So the domination of the LAC is become a rule of the game now. An occupation of height and passage is a new norm. Remember that this is going to continue in this winter. Both India and China are going to hold fast all the ridgeline and mountain ranges, whichever they are occupying, and the other side will try to take it. And as far as India is concerned, now the orders are very clearly given to the formation commanders at a tactical and strategic level that they can fire and they can use their weapon, but they make sure that the offensive action done by the Chinese is repulsed and completely taken back, and we occupy all the height. Not only this, the other thing which has been told to Indian forces is try to probe in case we find that there is a gap between their defenses and either they are lightly held or unheld, try to occupy. So my point is, today in Ladakh, the game has changed completely.
Right.
It is a question of occupation of heights.
Absolutely, sir. A question of occupation of the heights. Last question to General Jaswal. In all of this, sir, let's not forget air power. And what we have been, we've actually learned is that the Chinese have amassed 150 plus aircraft and helicopters in the eastern Ladakh theatre. This is an equally important factor in the event that this escalates, and it's something we really need to look at very, very closely.
Well, let the Chinese, bring in any amount of aircrafts out here. We have aircrafts which can match up to the Chinese numbers and quality. I think the Air Force chaps will be able to give a far better reply onto that. But what I hear and what we have discussed, we do not bother much about the Chinese air. They have got the build-up of Air Force over there basically to offset their infirmities which are existing on their side. Their single artery is coming. The troops which are there, they are prone to our interdiction.
Right.
So they have basically got them there for that. Our Air Force is capable of taking on their Air Force in quantity and quality, both.
All right, gentlemen, I'd like to thank both of you very much for joining us. Lots of details, and we'll bring more details to our viewers whenever we can.